he's, putting the auto pen on display in
Yeah,
in the colony.
that is so creepy. And I mean, I'm sorry, I've kind of gone beyond trying to be impartial here, Jonathan, because his behavior is so beyond the pale.
Hi, everybody. Just a quick reminder, if you're watching the election results tonight, I just want to make you aware of something called a red mirage.
I'm talking about Donald Trump's, some of the things that he's doing. If you don't believe we're living in an autocracy, would you concede that some of the things that he is doing are clearly anti-democratic?
I don't. And we happen to have a different view of these things. It's like, I don't call people fascists or Nazis or compare people to Hitler.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's pray for people like John Fetterman out here, one of the moderates that's the left, one of the only ones who refuses to bend the knee to the woke mob, even though he ran with the woke mob and pretended like he was one of them so he could get elected. Inevitably, he didn't govern like that. And apparently this man just fell on his face.
This for you from Senator Fetterman's team. During an early walk, he sustained a fall near his home. Out of an abundance of caution, he was transported to a hospital. Upon evaluation, it was established he had a ventricular fibrillation flare-up that led to him feeling lightheaded, falling to the ground, and hitting his face with minor injuries. Senator Fetterman, always in good spirits, always an optimist, quipped to his team, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." And then he thanked the EMTs. Our prayers to Senator Fetterman. America Reports.
So we all know that he has health problems. So no, he didn't pass away and dies, which is good, because I'm sure the left probably would have celebrated that too. And maybe that would have woke some of them up, but I don't want that to happen just so that people on the left can wake up and get out of the sunken place or wherever the hell they're at mentally to look over all of this nonsense like men and women's sports. But we got Katie Couric out here. She's old school. She's been around for a while. If you see this video, you can be like, dang, she let herself go. She's super duper old now, and she doesn't even look like the same human being anymore. She is interviewing Fetterman here from a straight up leftist point of view and trying to encourage him to basically admit that Trump is some sort of like fascist or autocrat or, something heinous. Fetterman is not having it. These are the politicians that we need, somebody who's a little bit more common sense. It's sad that a moderate Democrat who technically has a lot of leftist views, pretty far leftist views, some of them, even he is like, yo, calling people Hitler and all of this stuff is too freaking much. Without further ado, let's go ahead and react to this. By the way, guys, there's a new feature on YouTube where you can hype videos. So be sure to like the video, hype the video. It helps out a lot. Appreciate you.
No, Senator, you've gotten a reputation for not always, quote unquote, falling in line with your fellow Democrats, being an independent voice. And in your book, Unfettered, you write, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right, and the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left." Those are strong words. Tell me why you wrote that and what motivated those comments.
Meaning, I think it's been my experience, and just anecdotally, I asked my digital folks. I said, "What's the harshest, the harshest social?" And they said, "Oh, absolutely, it's blue sky.
Blue sky.
Blue sky." It's been my experience. The right, you would say, really, mean things and call me names and that thing. But what's really emerged often sometimes on the other side, it's like, hey, I'm rooting for your next stroke, or it sucks that depression didn't win, or I hope your kids, can just witness, you die, and all these kinds of things. Is there a difference between just saying mean things versus wishing my death and saying those things? It's like people forget that there's a name attached to these things. Or
in some cases, executing people, not just wishing it. The left, no. The left are people of action, so they'd absolutely kill if they felt like there was no consequence, like nothing was bad was going to happen to them. Oh yeah, Fetterman would be. They hate traitors, and Fetterman to them is a traitor. With this government shutdown stopping, oh man, they definitely would take him out. If they felt like nobody was going to freaking clap back on him, oh man, they would definitely do it, because these people are a bunch of little P-words, so they a little scared.
So for me, it's really an indictment on social media But what I'm saying, it's been in my experience that it's both difficult, but some of the most personal things are when someone's praying for my death and they want my children to find me there. It's like, I think that's a little next level versus, hey, I happen to disagree with you.
You've said that Donald Trump, in your view, is not an autocrat because his
It's
presidency.
crazy that she didn't. Y'all notice she didn't say anything. She just overlooked that. She's like, okay, next. Just keep moving on. All right, sure. You don't care. That's why a bunch of radicals is over there. It's because she's probably one of them too. Who knows? This lady probably got all kinds of little accounts that she got. These little fake accounts in the background. A lot of these people probably do. Some of them, sometimes they get caught having them, where they'll be saying all these heinous stuff to people because they don't want it to be like under their real name. So they'll just make all these Smurf accounts and just say all kinds of heinous stuff to people. I'm telling you, man, anybody who would just overlook that and not say, wow, that's incredible, I didn't know that, it's because she does know about it. And she's okay with it, or she agrees with it.
You've said that Donald Trump, in your view, is not an autocrat because his presidency is, quote, the product of a democratic election. But history has shown that even leaders who come to power through elections can still govern in anti-democratic ways. So I have to ask, when you consider some of Donald Trump's behaviors and policies, like deploying federal forces to U.S. cities, undermining the Department of Justice's independence, attempting to overturn the 2020 election, does that not trouble you deeply?
You can't. Deploying the National Guard is something the president is legally authorized to do. That's why President Trump has done it. Number two, President Biden did not have a impartial Department of Justice. To imply that he did is just bogus, fake news. Number three, the 2020 election was fraudulent. 81 million votes for Sleepy Joe, and Kamala Harris managed to not get anywhere close to that. It was a mail-in ballot election, and anybody is welcome to contest legally any election that occurs, mayoral, be it gubernatorial, congressional or presidential. Any election, it can legally be contested. So to say, oh, you're trying to overturn the results, all he was trying to do is legally contest the election. He didn't try to illegally overturn any results, but that's what they're implying here by even asking this stupid behind question.
You know, here we are, but I think at this point right now, we are not in an autocracy. You know, we're in a democracy, and that's why they were able to shut our government down. And that doesn't mean that we appreciate what's happening. And that expression, it's not normal. It's like, yes, it isn't normal, but that doesn't mean this is an autocracy right now.
Do you think that Donald Trump is not conducting himself or not pushing policies, though, that you would consider to be anti-democratic?
What I'm saying is a Democrat with a 90% record voting Democrat. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's my numbers.
No, I'm talking about Donald Trump's,
Well,
some of the things that he's doing. If you don't believe we're living in an autocracy, would you concede that some of the things that he is doing are clearly anti-democratic and also are potentially even unconstitutional?
I guess
that's what you got a judicial system for. So if something's unconstitutional, you challenge it. It happens with every single president. Sometimes they're like, yeah, what they're doing is fine. Sometimes they're like, nah, this is wrong. So it just is what it is. There's nothing that he has done that has not been challenged and overturned that's unconstitutional.
And we happen to have a different view of these things. You know, it's like, I don't call people fascists or Nazis or compare people to Hitler.
Good man.
And I think that's part of why we lost our election last year. You know, if you call the person that you might vote for, that implies that you must be a fascist or you're trying to destroy, you know, our nation. And I know and I love some of those people, and they're not doing any of those things. And can you imagine if it was that same kind of a terrible thing, if it was him? I mean, Charlie Kirk's assassination roiled the nation. Imagine if that was President Trump. Imagine what that would have done for our nation overall. And thank God that did not happen. And I didn't agree with many things of Charlie Kirk, but it was entirely appropriate to allow people to grieve and give people that respect and the space to do that.
Do you think that flags should have been flown at half staff? Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk. How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was just.
I think that's how you feel. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking this question. I don't think it's, or some people are like, no, that's how you feel.
Choice and his prerogative, and that was really entirely up to him.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though.
No, I haven't done a deep dive on it. I mean, we've all seen that terrible video. Perhaps if you've seen the actual video, I have. And it's like appalling. And that's part of the political violence. And from what I'm saying, it's like that's unacceptable. And engaging in a debate and views I strongly disagree on, that's part of the American democracy. And for me, it's that would never justify what's happened. And I just chose not to take the opportunity to argue his views after children lost his father in the most violent public way. I mean, so I would say the equivalent. The equivalent on the left might be, say, Mr. Piker. I strongly disagree with his views, but I'm appalled if something like that happened to him. Oh my God. I mean, that's, like we have to disagree in better ways where, you're going to solve it by shooting people. And that's why the kinds of rhetoric, we have to turn the temperature down. Extreme rhetoric makes it easier for extreme reactions or to justify them.
I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. I think that's the conversation that happened.
She's this lady is desperate. It is crazy that we've gotten here, guys. It's crazy. We've kind of been here for a while, but it's crazy that we've got this lady is desperate to basically say, I mean, it's okay because he said normal people stuff is okay, but what Charlie Kirk said was like really bad. Guys, Charlie Kirk didn't say anything out of the ordinary. People like Nick Fuentes are like really just off their rocker, where I can't even mess with people like him. Charlie Kirk was literally like the nice guy of the whole conservative movement. He was the nicest there is. You don't get much nicer than him. And they took him out. So that right there shows you everything you need to know, everything he stood for. They literally want to kill everything he stood for. He stood for God. He stood for family. He stood for protecting women. He stood for America first. They want to take that out. By taking Charlie Kirk out, that shows that's what they wanted to take out. They didn't like those views. They said, F those views, kill this man so he can stop spreading those views. And this stupid, washed up lady is sitting over here trying to basically defend this person's death by continuously beating this dead horse.
People condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language, suggesting that these kinds of words lead to violence. I don't know. I'm just kind of sharing my observations as I saw the conversations unfold.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we agree that we probably didn't agree with much of what he said, and I think I'm sure we both agree that you shouldn't shoot people, and you shouldn't execute them in public. And I think that's two things must be true. That free speech, I'm an absolute free speech guy, and you have the right to say these things, and you definitely also have the right not to get shot by sharing your views.
It really just needs to be, hey, Free speech, full stop. This propaganda machine was over here fake as hell, trying to pretend like that's not what she said, or that's what other people were saying on the internet. It's just observations I made. Like, girl, go sit your little goofy looking ass down. You look like you done suffered worse brain issues than Fetterman ever has. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out. Big shout out to my members, 655, Cat 3309, and Noodle. Could not do it without you.
Deep gratitude, because I should be dead. I should be dead. And I've got a second chance by surviving a stroke that I guess technically did take my life, but I came back to be the kind of voice in politics in the middle of this that we really should, and we have forgotten that we need each other.